Thought I'd come out here and show you some of the tools I use to prune my apple trees. I did these two yesterday and the day before. And I did that one a few days ago. I finished it. And as you can see, they look quite gnarly and bent. And that's what happens when you have a load of fruit on these branches. They tend to bow over like that. But that's good. It means I don't have to get on a 10-foot tall step ladder to work on these trees and harvest the fruit. I did this one, I finished it yesterday. And as you can see, there's quite a few little branches on there. They'll bear fruit this season, hopefully, if we don't get a late frost. Last year we got a pretty hard frost late in the season and it killed a lot of the blossoms. But I'll show you some of the tools that I use. Just briefly, I thought maybe I'd do this. And my hands are cold. It's a very cold day today, cold and windy. I'm trying a new thing here. I got a piece of cellophane tape over the mic on this camera so that I'm trying to block out some of the wind sound that comes through here. But anyway, this is a bow saw, and it cuts on the pull and the push. And the teeth are designed to do that. It's pretty self-explanatory. But anyway, I thought I'd show you my hand shears, my hand clippers. These are Velcros, number 13, and they are bypass. And that also is pretty self-explanatory. The bypass allows you to make closer cuts on the tree. And these are also bypass, but these are larger logging shears. These have a mechanism on it that allows you to exert more power with less effort. If you can picture it. It's hard for me to explain, but you probably get the idea. These are loppers too, a little bit smaller. But they're anvils, and the reason they're called anvils is because there's an anvil, a flat piece of material there, a softer metal, and the blade actually comes down and creates a cut like that. I'm trying to do this with one hand. And I also have a chainsaw. Chainsaw is used in cases where you really can't get into an area because of the tightness of it. And that's a cut I did yesterday. There's the wood that came off of this tree over there. Quite a bit of wood, but had to come off. Here's a tree I finished. This tree I finished day before yesterday, and I wanted to show you one of the cuts I made on it. It's a fresh cut, humongous cut, and it's shaped kind of weird because that's where that's how close the trunk was to the other trunk. It was forming a narrow angled crotch here. It just had to come off, and I'm not done with this. I'm going to wait until spring to remove some of this other wood because it's too cold to do this kind of work. I have to do a lot of it by hand. I'll probably have to use a chisel and maybe even a sander, but it's got to come off because it's just rubbing up. It's packed right up against this other trunk here, and it actually has soil in it, and the soil is the dust that gets kicked up in the summertime from the road, and it just is unacceptable. Over here, got another cut I made. I guess this was made 3 or 4 years ago, and as you can see, it's got the healing ring that is progressing nicely, and eventually this will all close over and become part of the overall side of the tree. And over here we have one that's probably about 10 years old. It's almost closed. And this is also a healing ring. This is material. What a healing ring does is it has antibiotics in it, natural antibiotics and hormones that pretty much prevent the underlying wood from rotting. It's a mystery to me. I'm not a chemist or nothing, but what I do know is that it works, but the cuts have to be done properly. And what you see here, all these little white dots, are the remains, you can see, the remains of what are called water sprouts. They happen every year on apple trees and other fruit trees, and they've got to come off. You see? I'll show you an example of a tree that was pruned last year, and then I'll show you a tree that was pruned a few years ago. Okay, this tree was pruned last year, and it produced these little upright branches called water sprouts, and they've got to come off because they sap the nutrients from the other parts of the tree that are producing the flowers and ultimately the fruit, so they have to go. And on top of that, it produces too much top growth, and you don't want a whole lot of leaves. The object of growing apples is to grow apples, not leaves. This is an example of a tree that was not pruned. As you can see, water sprouts have gotten to be the size of small branches. This tree is gonna take me quite a while, probably 2 days to prune this. But anyway, that's my orchard, and I should have this done well in advance of bud break. And that's another thing, you want to prune your apples and other fruit before the buds actually start forming. The best time to do it is right now while it's still cold out, and we're not having very warm days, so the ideal time. You can actually do this in midwinter, but it was too muddy out here to do anything substantial because the ladder kept sinking. So thanks for watching, and catch you later.